May 17th, 2022. It's 6:01, so we're a little late, but we'll go ahead and get started. We have Alderman Murphy is out of town, and we have Alderman Contois, who is under the weather. We think she has COVID, or well, we don't think, she thinks. I'm not really sure. So both of those are out, but we do have a quorum, so we're going to press on. Invocation will be by Alderman Saucy, and the pledge will be led by Alderman Patterson. If you would silence your phones, I would appreciate that. And then everybody please rise.
Heavenly Father, as we begin this meeting, come to the end of this day, we thank you for all your many blessings. We thank you for giving us the opportunity to serve the citizens of the town of Abita Springs. Guide our actions to aid those in need and those less fortunate before our own. Let a ray of your brilliance penetrate into our understanding and aid our governing as a town and the laws that we create, absent of bias. For each of us representatives and citizens, help us to listen to one another until we hear one another. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, we're going to start off with mayor's announcements. Ms. Schilling, is Jessica Schilling here? Oh, there you go. You want to come up and talk? Ms. Schilling would like to talk about stroke awareness, and she asked if she could come up and speak, or maybe.
Is it on? No.
Is it on now?
Yes.
Okay. I did have an infographic for everybody, but I thought it was going to be here. That's my fault, but it's going to be on the town Facebook page. So May is Stroke Awareness Month, so I just wanted to take a brief minute and kind of bring that to everybody's awareness, and I appreciate y'all's time. I do work for the stroke department at Ochsner in New Orleans, and I'm sure a few of us in the room have been touched by stroke, either a family member or ourselves. So I think it's important that we all know the signs and symptoms of stroke. And I feel bad, y'all. I'm not facing y'all. It's hard. But there's an acronym that y'all will see on the town Facebook page, and it's called Be Fast. And I think it's good for y'all to know and for y'all to teach your family members and the kids. B stands for balance. So if you have a family member you know is kind of dizzy and just not walking right, let me say this first. A lot of people have these symptoms and kind of don't pay attention to it, think it's something like they're sick or just like a headache, and don't go into the hospital right away. And time is of the essence with stroke. Every minute that you delay, there's 9 million neurons that die. So any symptom that you have, don't ignore it. Call 911, go into the hospital right away. That's why it's important to know these symptoms. It's okay to call 911. It's important to go in. It's better to be checked out and be safe rather than sorry. So the Be Fast is B for balance. E is for the eyes, blurry vision if you're not seeing correctly. F is for face. We have our patients smile. If you notice the smile, one side is up and one side is down of your mouth. That's another sign. Thank you. Yeah, any of those are fine. Yeah, that's perfect. A is for arms. We'll have people hold their arms out, and usually you'll see one arm drift. S is for speech. We have, like at the hospital, we have a card with pictures, and we'll have them say a few words. A lot of times they cannot get the words out or don't know what they are. And T, actually T is for time, not always terrible headache. It's usually for time to call 911. Headache is also important. Headache can be one that comes, it's the worst headache of your life, or it's a headache that comes and then kind of goes away. There's different types of strokes, so it depends on what kind of headache you have, but the most important thing is going in right away. And another thing is to know your risk factors, blood pressure, cholesterol, diabetes, if there's a history of stroke in your family. So I know this is a lot of information really fast, y'all, but y'all will see this on the town Facebook page. I'm also available. If y'all have any questions, you can find me on Facebook. And Oshner also has a stroke support group, so that number will be posted as well. And this is just kind of also like a silent killer, so I just wanted to get the information out there, and I appreciate y'all's time. Thank you so much.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jessica.
Okay, number 2, under mayor's announcements, we're starting to make the transitional move into the annex. So utilities is now over there rather than here in the front. Probably by close of business tomorrow, everybody will be over there. At least that's the plan. So when you want to come and see us in the offices, it'll be the side street right here, Live Oak, and you come down the middle, or you can go to the end door. So I wanted to make sure we got that out. Okay, so roll call.
Alderman Randolph.
Here.
Alderman Patterson.
Here.
Alderman Saucy.
Present.
Alderman Conjoyce and Murphy are absent.
Right. Okay, need a motion to accept the April 19, 2020 Town Council meeting minutes.
So motioned.
Have a first.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, accept the March 2022 financial report.
So made.
First. Anybody second?
Second.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, okay, no. Moving on to old business, we don't have any old business now, Stuart, but we got some new business. So, we're kind of throwing you a little curve there. No old business and now new. Okay, under new business, number 1, an appeal to the Town of Abita Springs Board of Aldermen relative to the Historic Commission's decision regarding the issuance of certificate of appropriateness to Dorsi Development for the design of the Dollar General sign. This was an appeal that was filed by Ms. Sipos and has come before the board. Any comments from board members?
At this time, I have to recuse myself due to legal counsel.
I'd like to make a motion to defer it. If we're not going to have a quorum present, if she's going to recuse herself.
I will second that.
So we have a motion to defer. Do we need to vote on that? Okay, yeah, I was gonna go with that next. Any public comment about the deferral of do you have anything else about that? Oh. Come up to the mic so we can hear you.
I'm Ruth Terry Sipos, 71627 Levison Street. I do have some questions concerning the appeal. Do you?
Steve,
How do
yeah,
you move it close?
just pull it around the side. There you go.
Is that better? Is it on?
I don't know.
All right.
Turn it towards you.
Awesome.
Turn it
So
towards you.
I just have a few questions about it. I came today and got.
What's the matter?
I came today. Is that better?
There you go.
Okay.
Pull it to you a little bit. You can pull that sucker around.
I'm gonna.
There you
Oh,
go.
I'm gonna get goobers on it. Oh. Okay. So I came today and got a copy of the signage and the original signage and then the modified signage. And so I'm curious to know who y'all contacted to have a conversation about the appeal, to have the discussion about it.
Are you asking a question?
Mhm.
What was that?
Who did y'all contact to have a discussion about the appeal? I mean, did you check back in with Ron or anybody on the Historic Commission? Did you call the state? Did, whatever, to get some information about how to proceed?
Yeah, I don't know what you're, okay.
That's what we're talking about, the deferral of the motion. They're not ruling on anything. They're moving
Okay,
it down the road.
you
So-
invited me up without cause. So if it's only about the deferral.
No, ma'am, no.
Yeah.
First off, I didn't invite you up. You raised your hand. I said, you want to
Well,
come up and
you
say,
said,
okay?
wait, Dan.
When- We're not, listen, let's understand what we're doing. What our legal counsel is telling you is that we need to stay on topic.
Okay, I get you. So
Okay.
I asked that question, and I said, is it questions about the appeal? And you said yes. So that's why I came up. If it was only about the deferral, I have no questions.
I said comments.
About
Is there a
the
comment?
deferral. If it's about the
Okay.
deferral, I have no questions.
Okay, all right, thank you.
I have a couple of specific questions about the deferral. One is, where does it go from here, and how long is a deferral amount to? And the other is, can you even vote on a deferral with only 2 people?
I'll answer the question, just for the sake of getting some clarity on the point. Listen, you've got to read your local ordinance. You've got to have a certain percentage of vote for taking certain action one way as opposed to another. You've literally got 2 people up there that are going to vote. So the decision to defer is what's on the table. If in order to do that and comply with the ordinance, it's got to get reset on a special setting, probably quite quickly. And then at that point, then this will end up back on the agenda, and there will be I would only do the deferral if they're going to be all the Board of Aldermen. One of the Board of Aldermen has to recuse themselves. So you need more people to get a proper analysis of this particular issue. So it's got to get reset on a special setting, and that hopefully will answer your question.
It's like within 40-something days?
It's 45 days.
45 days.
Correct. So I don't know where we are in the day count. I know that we don't have enough time to have it on the next regular meeting of the Board of Aldermen, so I've advised doing a special setting when there's more Board of Aldermen that are going to be voting.
So you understand, Stuart?
Yeah, I'm still not clear on how you can even defer it if you don't have 3 people.
Okay. There is a quorum. There's a quorum. There's 3 out of the 5 elected officials, but 1 is recusing themselves. She's not necessarily voting at all. So out of the 3 present, you've got a 2-person vote to defer. In theory, they haven't voted yet.
Lee Barrios, Abita Oaks. I would just request regarding this deferral, if you would put together the information so that everyone understands what this deferral means. If you could put it on the webpage or in some way post it so that people understand what the deferral means, what the appeal means, et cetera, so that the next time when people come, they'll have a better understanding. Thank you.
Just a quick question. Lynn Conjemi, 71286 St. Mary Street. This is only, Council, on the sign, correct? And the signage.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I'm
Right.
trying to clarify
Yes.
that this is truly just on the signage.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Okay. Mr. Harrison, do we need to have them vote now that all those who can vote?
Board comment if you wanted to, but then at that point, you have to vote.
Right. Does the board, anybody have any comments?
No comment.
Board? Okay.
I'd like to
call for a vote. Mine's not on? Oh, Pat, turn your microphone. Okay, so we're voting on the referral, and we have one abstention. So all in favor of moving the referral forward, say aye.
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 Opposed? Okay, and no opposed?
No opposed. Moves
All
forward.
right, it moves forward. We will come up with a day. It's got to be within 45 days. So that gives us, I don't know, like, 3rd is the, yeah, somewhere up in there in June. So, we'll put it, the information on the webpage or have it or whatever.
And why it was deferred.
Okay. Number 2, is the introduction of an instrument 2022-004, which is an ordinance that we were putting into place. We have asked, I've asked that the board table this ordinance for this simple reason. We had already put it in back in July. But because codification in Muni Code is only done once a year because of cost, it wasn't in there. So we happened to have, the staff was looking through the non-codified ordinances, and it was already covered in there. So it's really a repeat of what we already have dealing with the historic district jurisdiction. So it's already there. So we're asking the board, I'm asking the board to table that ordinance so that we don't have to deal with it. Any comments from the board? No. Any from the audience? Does everybody understand why we're doing it? We already have the ordinance, it's already there. Sure.
Yeah.
This ordinance was relative to Harrison Avenue. It wasn't included under the historic jurisdiction. And in July of last year, we added plan unit developments to Historic Commission purview. And at that time, we addressed this small area of Harrison Avenue to also fall under historic purview at that time. Again, the mayor said that it hadn't been codified yet. It was just part of that ordinance. So when we were looking at some properties that were going to be developed, we thought that that might be something that needed to be addressed, but it has already been addressed.
Okay, with that
All right.
being said, I move to table this particular introduction of instrument 2022-004.
Second.
All right, we have a first and a second. Do they need to vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, number 3. An introduction of instrument 2022-005, an ordinance of the Board of Aldermen of the town of Abita Springs to establish a moratorium on the issuance of any permits whatsoever in the furtherance of or relative to certain uses allowed in the commercial district of the town, and further in connection with issuance of any such permits in connection with the commercial and multifamily uses in certain described property in the town of Abita Springs, and to provide for related matters. This is just an introduction. It's an introduction only. There is no discussion. This is the moratorium that we're putting on for the commercial, to deal with the our commercial zoning.
I'd like to make a motion to move it forward.
We have one motion. Have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, and yes.
If you're taking a vote, why is there no public comment?
It's an introduction.
It's just an
But you're
introduction.
still taking a vote. So
Do we?
is there no
Maybe we
public
didn't have to.
comment?
Maybe we
There wasn't a
didn't
vote
have to
required.
vote.
We're just moving it forward.
We're just moving it
We're just
forward.
moving it forward.
I'm sorry, Lee. I messed that up. Called for the vote. That's my fault.
So there is no public comment allowed?
No, this is just an
It's
introduction.
Go ahead, Paul.
No, I mean, it's. There'll be full discussion
Right.
of it on the merit.
So that'd be the public committee meeting is where it'll really be discussed.
I'd like to ask that if it's at all possible, that
I'm gonna remember to turn it on, so it keeps getting on and off, so.
yeah, if at all possible, I read the statement, and it's the description of the territory that it covers is incomprehensible. So I was wondering if you could have someone make a map of that so that we know what we're discussing.
No comment, just.
Okay. We can talk about it after. After, Stuart. Come talk to us after. Okay, so
When we
moving on.
introduce things, we're just introducing them, that there's no public,
There's discussion.
we're introducing it so that we can discuss it. That's like part of how it goes.
Yeah, this is really where the next meeting is where all the discussion
It's
really
frustrating for us
starts.
too, trust me.
Introduction to, number 4, Introduction to Instrument 2022-006, an ordinance amending the Town of Abita Springs Ordinance Number 518 and amended through Ordinance 520, providing for the operating budget and revenue of expenditures for the year beginning January 1, 2021 and ending December 31, 2021. Adjustments to, I think those changed. It was, Leanne, was it 5 and?
5, 6, 7.
You remember the changes? 5 and 12. Those others were not changed. And to provide for related matters. It's a reconciliation of the budget versus actual for 2021. So we need an introduction to that so we can get all that put together for y'all next meeting.
I will move to introduce instrument 2022-006.
I'll second it.
All right, we have a first and a second. Number 5. This is adopt a millage rate resolution levying the following millages, but I have to read the resolution, so I'll do that right here. This is a resolution to levy the millages on 2022 tax roll and to provide for related matters. Be it resolved that the following millages are hereby levied on the 2022 tax roll on the property subject to taxation by the Town of Abita Springs. General alimony millages is 7.42 mils. Park and playground and street lights are 2.83 mils. Water sewer street bond 5 mils. Be it further resolved that the proper administrative officials of the parish of St. Tammany, state of Louisiana, be and they are hereby empowered, authorized, and directed to spread said taxes as herein above set forth upon the assessment roll of said parish for the year 2022 and make the collection of the taxes imposed for and on behalf of the taxing authority according to the law, and that taxes herein levied shall become a permanent lien and privilege on all property subject to taxation as herein set forth, and collection thereof shall be enforceable in the manner provided by law. So that's our tax levy. They didn't go up, correct? We didn't roll any forward. Everything's staying the same. So we need that one. That's another introduction, moving for a resolution. So we need to have a first, a second, and then a vote, correct? Okay, so we have the first, we have a second?
Second.
Okay, public comment? Come on, Stuart. There we go.
You've heard me say this before, but I'll say it a different way this time, because this is, the millages are the millages, but we wind up taxing less than the actual millage because the assessment went up, and it's all proportional. But I was looking at the town hall, not just today, but before, and I noticed we've got paint peeling all over, and we've got a tattered flag. And if we're that hard up, should we really be not charging the full amount for the taxpayers to actually pay to maintain the town? And by the way, we really shouldn't be flying the tattered flag.
Anybody else? Okay, hearing none. Oh, here we go. Yes, ma'am.
Brenda Lanier, 71482 Highway 59. So those three totals, those millage adds up to what, 15.26 or whatever y'all discussed at
Yeah, it's 15,
previous
it's 15
meetings.
something, I don't know, yeah.
Yeah,
What's that?
15.25.
15.25.
25.
Yeah,
And the millage, y'all didn't roll it up, but it could roll up to 15.86, I think.
I think
huh?
that's, is that 8.6? Yeah.
So
8.6.
we're getting a little break, which we appreciate, but
Yeah, it's,
I
I mean,
was kind of
yeah, it's not much, but
following
it's,
up on Stewart's.
it's not a big break, but it's a little.
It's a little break.
Right.
Thank you.
So we need a vote? Roll call vote, okay.
Yes.
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 Okay. Number 6, consideration of a resolution by the Board of Aldermen of the town of Abita Springs selecting the St. Tammany Farmer as the town's official journal. That's, if you don't know, that's the local paper. This year they did not go up in price, so they've held the same. It's where we have to put all the information.
And they are the only option.
Yeah,
There's no
yeah.
other option.
Other than calling your representative and getting them to allow us to do it online, it would be a lot cheaper because it costs us a fortune to put stuff in there all the time. So, wait, say that again? What's that?
40,000.
Yeah. Go ahead.
And Stacy might be able to correct me, but I think it's in the neighborhood of $40,000 a year for our publications in the official journal at 4.62 cents per column inch.
There you go, that's what we have to pay, when we could put it online
And they
Costs
have,
us nothing.
and they have no competition.
Yeah.
yeah.
So Stewart, start a newspaper.
Yeah. Be able to get enough flags then. So, do we need to vote for that? All right, I need a motion to,
So made.
yeah, first.
Second.
Go ahead.
Okay, first, second, all in favor?
Aye.
We
Oh,
did,
no.
we did. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And any opposed? None. Good. Number 7, consideration of a resolution of the Board of Aldermen of the town of Abita Springs to establish an increase in garbage collection rates. This is a $1.70 fuel surcharge that's being passed on to all people that get garbage picked up by the same people that we do. Everybody's paying it. Yes.
Hi, Marie DeSalms, 22200 Main Street. I just want to say that I have some garbage in front of my house for almost 2 months now, some tree garbage, and I've asked repeatedly for it to be picked up. And I know it's not town, they're calling the service, but if that's who's raising the prices, I have a problem with that.
It's tree garbage, debris and stuff, not trash.
Yeah, it's green, yeah, it's green. And they,
2 months.
we did contact them because not the only one, there's a bunch around town.
Yeah, we've got some too.
But they're having issues with people and all that kind of stuff, so. However, they are supposed to be, gonna be picking up here within the next 2 weeks, is what the last I was told.
That was my point, just that if we're raising rates, we need to be getting the service.
Yes, ma'am.
Lynn Conjemi, 71286 St. Mary Street. I do want to say that in Abita Springs, we have a very large elderly population. that really does not use, except for maybe a small amount of garbage, my mother being one. So these rate increases do affect our elderly. I do think in the future we should look at maybe exempting the elderly from some of these. I don't know that legally we could do that, but there should be something for the elderly of our community, because our community does have a certain degree of elderly people, and they're not using all of that, and they get that increases. Thank you.
Lee Barrios, Abita Oaks. I was going to wait to public comment, but I didn't realize that the town garbage and the trash pickup was the same. So I also wanted to say publicly, I'm sure a lot of people, same thing in Abita Oaks. It's been almost 2 months since we've had a lot of our green waste not picked up, and I just wonder if there isn't some way to, how do we ever get that done? If they continue to have an excuse, then, and they're raising their price, what are the consequences? Because, it's a little town. We need to have our waste picked up, and I'm one of those elderly, but I'm willing to pay if I actually get the service. Thank you.
No, it's a good point. It's the first time I'm hearing of this. And the 2 months is obviously unacceptable. So I don't know if that's something that we can do, Janet or Dan.
There's a...
we will look at it from a town's point of view, and we'll make another phone call as well.
We're trying to get them to come out. The other thing, too, we're doing, too, is, they're getting ready to, we're putting out an RFP that, to look for other, not that coastal has been bad. That's not what I'm saying. It's just that we have to every so often, so that's coming up here shortly as well, and that always motivates a lot of companies to, push to do a little bit better. But listen, I understand the fuel charge. It hits us all. We all know that it's higher. For some reason, the coastal, at least the story that I got, is that they spend like $35,000 a month on fuel in all their trucks everywhere they are. So that's that's a lot of money for fuel.
Yeah, I'd like to, since this is contract negotiation time with them apparently, and the contract will last 5 years, I'd like to repeat the suggestion that I made at the previous meeting, which is that we suggest that they attempt to go electric, at least partially, within the next 5 years, because the fuel charges are only going to keep going up, and the electric rates are a little high, but it's not even comparable. They could save a great deal of money if they switched to electric trucks.
We have to vote on that? Motion second, then vote.
Yes.
I'll move to.
We need a motion. You got first?
Got a motion?
A
Yes.
second?
Second.
All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Number 8, consideration of resolution of Board of Aldermen, Town of Abita Springs, informing Louisiana Department of Environmental Quality of actions taken as outlined in the MWPP and to provide for related matters. This is our operator report that's being made about our water and our sewer. We have some issues that we're facing, and we always do, and basically what this resolution is that the operator for our sewer plant has told us what we need to do, and we're making the necessary corrections for the MWPP. So this is just a resolution that we have to put together to send with that. Any comments from the audience? Nobody's interested. Nobody's interested.
Lynn Conjami, again, when I do want to respectfully say that when you're speaking maybe to the audience, many of us, including myself, I really don't know what NWPP means. Thank you.
municipal water, what?
Pollution
Po-
prevention.
Yeah, pollution prevention, that's it. Municipal water pollution prevention. It's one of the many state-backed organizations that we have to deal with, dealing with sewer, water, gas, all of that. Website, that's right. That you can read. Anybody else? What?
What do they want the town to do? Let me go to the resolution here and let me help. It's a report that they issue every year, and the board has to accept their report. It's just basically an evaluation of our system. If we're good?
Well, we need to make,
Could be better.
we always have to do something.
We're getting there.
That's how they keep themselves employed.
That's right. We're closer now than ever.
Right.
Okay, I move for introduction.
All right, so we have,
A second.
we have an introduction.
And a
Do I have-
second.
I mean, a motion to.
We have
yeah.
a motion.
Motion, we have a second?
Yes.
And a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. All right, and lastly, number 9, wait, that's it, 9.
Grant funding.
Consideration of the resolution by the Board of Aldermen, Town of Abita Springs, in support for the town's application for grant funding to the Louisiana Office of Community Development, Local Government Assistance Program, and Community Water Enrichment Fund. These are 2 grants that come out yearly from the state. Is one of them federally backed? I'm not sure, but I know they're state grants.
These are both state grants.
Yeah.
One is for the Local Government Assistance Program, and the other is the Community Water Enrichment Fund, and municipalities can apply yearly, every year. This year, we're going to apply for $35,000 to replace all the windows in Town Hall, have them restored when possible so that we can keep the historic windows, and replaced when not possible. And that will help to make this building more energy efficient because these windows leak really badly. And then that's the LGAP, the Community Water Enrichment Fund. We're going to apply to pay to rerun the water lines throughout our park area. We have a lot of issues with leaks because of the splash pad and the water fountains, and the sewer and the toilets. So we're applying to get funding to redo that whole thing to kind of give us the opportunity to focus on other things.
Any opposition to us trying to get grant money? Just check it.
I think we're good.
Yeah.
Did we vote already?
Terry Cyclone said something.
Okay, so.
I'll make a motion. Oh, whoops, sorry. I was trying to make a motion.
Is there any way, anything that we can do to help support your applications for those things?
Write them.
Okay, yeah, I'm serious.
No,
I mean, I'm all about that.
No, it's just, no, we appreciate it, we really do.
Okay.
You know, we always, I'll bet you we could find something that you could do if you wanted to come up here and do it, you know.
With these 2 particular grants, we have to get letters of support from Representative Freeman and Senator McMath.
Right.
They typically support these for us. They will send those, that goes with our packet, and then the decision to award is based upon how many applicants come from each area. And so usually if you apply, you get awarded some portion, and it's not, the portion is dependent upon how many people apply. So there will be opportunities where we will absolutely need you guys to send letters and help us rally for some support, like capital outlay at the state level. But in this one, this is pretty much you apply and you usually get some portion of the money.
Okay,
Right.
awesome.
Again, Lynn Conjemi. I think, too, that a lot of us do not, we want to be, I think, unfortunately, with all of the changes that are coming since COVID in 2022, if we could have the back of our water bill, maybe everybody does not pay online, but we do get our water bill even if we pay it ahead, you know, for the town. So that back of the water bill, if we could have something that would say, yes, as a group, if you want to be involved in this, here's the website, or come to the office, which I do quite frequently for the past 20 years, to find out what we can do. But I think the back of that water bill, maybe it's not able to do it, but it used to give us big information in the past.
We still use it, like we're getting ready to put it out, put out some stuff that, you know, we need to have put out this next one coming up.
This next billing is
Yeah.
going to have something on the back.
But we're working on it'll probably start out quarterly as a, I don't know, it's not a pamphlet, but
It's almost like a magazine,
Yeah.
a program type of thing. It'll be quarterly. The problem with monthly mailers is that the information now moves so quickly and changes so quickly. By the
Yeah.
time we print, and the amount of resources that it takes for our utilities ladies, which we only have 2, to print a 2-sided bill, you'd be amazed how much extra time that takes, because it doesn't automatically feed that way, which is why we originally stopped it. It was an issue of resources. And so doing a quarterly, almost like Inside North Shore or The Edge type of magazine that would be at all of our businesses and at Town Hall, that you could grab out of maybe a display case on the front porch, that gives information that's not going to change quickly. But ultimately, the best way to get good information up to date is Town Hall, our website, our Facebook page. Call us. That's the best way to get, or email us. We can get you as much information as we can that way. Mailing is, I'm sure you all know, very slow and very expensive now. Just mailing out our bills every month is very costly.
I do want to say that in the past and all the years that I have worked with the town, if you do go, any of us, if we do go to Town Hall, I realize that we all are busy, we have our own lives, but if you do go to Town Hall, any administration from past to now will absolutely try to answer your questions. I will say that, definitely, and I appreciate it. You're welcome.
Thank you.
I just wanted to mention to Ms. Sipos that if you did want to send an email to our state representatives, we have this contact information for local representatives on our webpage here, and you could send them an email and just say, would you please support our grant application, something really short and sweet.
That's also for the capital outlay too, to both Larry Freeman and Patrick McMath. You know, the more they get from citizens, you know, the more they work harder for us. So there's a lot of people up there trying to stick their hand in the pie of capital outlay. So in order to get some of that, you know, we got to really push our people. Go ahead.
My only other thing is that the town needs to remind the people how important it is for us to be involved in some of the, and most of that. We don't, and I'm not fussing, but I'm saying that the website, we can read it. We're really looking for events, you know, when can we, I hate to say, like, have a party. But on the real grit of it, the website, we're only looking for certain things. I think maybe at the top or somewhere we could say, we need your help. You know, let's look at this so that we're all involved, and it's not just a website that we're not paying attention to.
We've had a red flash button at the top.
I guess I haven't seen the red
I don't know
flash
if I don't know if it's on now, but I'm. Yeah. So. Yeah. Okay.
I just want to make one little comment. One time I heard a politician say he doesn't read his mail, he weighs it. So the point there is, and contact him as many times as you can. That's the only way to get something done.
I can tell you, if Larry Freeman wants money in my envelope, he ain't getting it. I'm just going to tell you. Did we vote on that? No. Okay, all right, so that's all the comments. I need a motion for the.
So made.
We have a motion first.
Second.
We have a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that passes. Okay, now we're in the best portion of the meeting, the open portion. 2 minutes, we timing, and I'll hit the gavel when the time's up. Who's up first? Time? Go ahead.
So hi, my name is Monica Gomez, and I'm not going to give my address.
Mike.
I don't want to give my address because this comment is to express my concern over people who give comment giving their addresses, because this is aired on YouTube. I think that that is sensitive information, personally identifiable information that I don't think should be given.
Okay.
That's all I have to say.
All right,
Thank
thank you. Anybody else? Go ahead. No, you. No, did I? That's.
Lee Barrios, Abita Oaks. I'd like to make public comment just because that's what I do. I'm kidding. Elections are coming up, and it's been a vast wasteland for the last 2 or 3 years as far as getting information and political stuff and all that. So I'm wondering, I'm hoping that this year, this fall, and next year, which is even bigger, that Town Hall can do something to promote or to sponsor, if you can do that, or to offer for free the use of the Town Hall by nonprofits to have forums, political forums. This is a great place to do it. It's local enough that people can attend, and I think it's so important. And then publish it on, or do it live, whatever. So I hope you all will be thinking about that and what you can do to promote that. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Wait a minute.
Yep.
Oh, no, we should.
Sissy Wiggin, 71599 Levison. I just want to say I don't smell sewer anymore.
Thank you. No, that's mean. No, that's mean. No, Miss Sissy, and look, and I'm gonna tell you that many of engineers have walked the back of your property trying to figure out how we deal with it. So, thank you.
Sandra Slifer, 71448 Warren Street. As the former president of the League of Women Voters of Louisiana and St. Tammany, yeah, I'm happy to facilitate any candidate forums that we have. That the town has always been very gracious in terms of hosting candidate forums, and I would anticipate that that tradition would continue. Thank you.
Yes, it would. Yes, that's really something I wanted to say. I mean, we're in support of all those things. Have them here. That's fine with us. We don't, that's, we do. We have a good venue here, and we have people that want to come and help out. So I also want to mention that Sandra and Jenny and Janet and Jessica, we're all out at the park this morning putting on a skit for the first graders from Abita Elementary dealing with trash, and I wish we had some of the footage because it was quite interesting. It was quite interesting. No, they did a great job trying to instill in the youngsters that there's a place for trash and it's not on the ground. So yeah, be on the lookout. You're gonna see.
Putting that up on the web.
Yeah, it was really pretty cool. Anybody else? Go ahead, Stuart.
Well, since you have lots of new business, I'm not even going to suggest anything in that regard, but I do want to remind people that Friday is Bicycle to Work Day. So
This
if
Friday?
you get a chance.
This Friday.
This Friday.
Yeah, Bicycle
and
to
not
Work.
only that, But if you want to bicycle somewhere else, at the museum is the reception and the beginning of the Dale Houck. He's a local artist, lived in and around Abita for a very long time, and he's having a retrospective art exhibit there, and I hope you can come to enjoy it.
Right, I think isn't that on the website?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's also this lady on the second. Yes.
You got to just jump up and grab the mic real quick.
Hi, I'm Donna Odo. I have a question
Sure.
more than a comment. Around in the area on the streets, like 11th and St. Mary at the corner, the bushes are so far out over the ditch, and you have to literally pull out to the middle of the street.
Is that Stewart's front yard? No, that's not yours. That's not yours.
I don't know where
No, that's
Stewart
right.
lives. If you got stuff growing out.
No,
over there.
I'm just picking on him. That's all. I'm
But
just messing with him.
the streets are hard enough to go down.
This
when
is
two
11th
cars-
and what is it? 11th
Well,
and
that's
St.
just one. I'm just giving it 11th and St. Mary.
Yeah. Well, listen, and I understand that we have a side bush hog mower and a boom mower, and we just cut down 59 last week. However, they didn't get up there. You'd be surprised how many people come out and see that boom bush hog cutting along on their trees and just go bananas. But
Well, I understand that, but the thing of it is the streets are narrow already.
Oh, I know
And
what
I
you're
have
saying.
a
It's hard
brand
to
new
see.
Jeep, and so I will stop and let the person pass because I'm not getting my car all scratched up.
I'm gonna write down.
Janet, you
we're
got
gonna
that?
look.
It's
11th and
ridiculous.
St. Mary?
And I mean, that's only one area. There's like,
Yeah, well,
and some of them are empty lots.
They just need to ride around and
You
check
know,
the
some are
cars.
empty lots, but some are, like you said, they're people's property. I guess they own that portion.
If you go to the town's website under the departments of Public Works, you can submit work order requests. Those go directly to Public Works, and they can go and check. If it's private property who has things growing out onto the street, then the marshal will address it with the property owner. If it's town property that's overgrown, then our Public Works will go and trim it back. And this is the best way because this is tracked. They get emails that are sent to multiple people so that we can track those.
I guess.
We've got a Public Works that has 6 people, so they don't get to drive around and check everything. So information from the public is how we get a lot of our information and complaints. If you make that complaint, if you can't get there, you can call Town Hall and let us know, and we will file the complaint for you while you're on the phone with us, and that way it gets recorded.
The Public Works foreman has a computer in his truck. He gets them right there, bam. So he immediately gets it and goes and identifies it. So
Right.
that's really the best way. And if you can't do it online, if you can't seem to find it, like Janet said, call, and we'll address it.
And the other thing I want to
Well,
ask
we're gonna
is,
put it on the
you know, hurricane season is coming up.
It is.
And the ditches where the culverts are, or I guess that's what you call, I don't know what you call them, under the
The culverts.
driveways.
Yeah, culvert.
It's like, it's packed with mud. And so who's supposed to clean, are we supposed to clean that out?
Oh, yeah, that's.
The town.
No, we do. We have a, we have a,
I gotta police this, and I gotta clean
No,
it.
Well,
no.
that's when the town fills out a work order for you.
Right. No, we have we have a jetter truck, and that's what we use. We need to know. Again, we have 6 guys now. We didn't, a week ago we had 3. So, again, the work order, and if you can't, like I said, if you can't do it, just call up here, and we'll walk you through it, and we'll be doing it while while you're
Okay,
on the
no,
phone.
I can do that.
And we'll do it. Trust me, we've cleaned more culverts and dug more ditches than you would imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll come out and take a look at it. Anybody else? I don't know. Is it gonna blow up? I mean, I didn't know what it was.
This is so interesting. People have said, I don't know why you're doing this because this is completely worthless. Nobody's going to listen to you. That's 495 signatures, 395 signatures. There would have been more, except I had this little event, and I went off the case for about a week and a half. If you look at it, it's about Dollar General. It mentions four very specific reasons why those citizens, and they are all citizens of Abita Springs. People suggested, oh, put it online. We said, no, we're not putting it online because anybody can do that. It really dilutes the process. Ellen Hauk, bless her heart, divvied us up. She's still got some work to do on helping us fine-tune it. This isn't the end, but you should know that almost 400 voters are looking at you guys for leadership. And it's been so interesting. I've learned so much about Abita during this time. There are places I had never been. There are little pocket communities that I'm going, oh my God, this is so cool. I mean, like Abita Oaks, those people are all up in each other's business up there. And I didn't even know what Dundee Loop was. I mean, it was just, it's like, where did that come from? So I feel like that the old 60 woman of me, because I'm 73, there's still that piece of me that believes that this makes a difference in the way that people look at things, that you know that it's not just about Facebook, it's not just about other social media, it's not all about improper information. It can be about very specific concerns that seem rational, to the point, and fully justifiable. So I just want to present that to you because we're watching.
Ruth, at the last meeting, I commended you and Sissy for doing this the right way, for getting out there and getting the correct information out there. And so I'm glad you're here tonight so I can commend you once again. Yeah, well, you guys are the only ones I saw, okay? But for all of you, because I appreciate the correct information being put out.
Well, it doesn't help anyone to have it other than that.
Right.
We don't need to be muddy in the waters. We need it to be as clear as possible. And so that, because that's the only way that you guys have strength on our behalf. If it's all in some kind of hysteria or something like that, that is not helpful to you, to give you the tools that you need.
Right.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I did just give her 4 more pages because I didn't have time to give them to her when I was supposed to. I had offered to write a letter to Dorsi Development and would like for it to be read into the record. Is something that I tried to express the concerns that I have heard from the residents of Abita Springs, and that it was emailed to them yesterday. I'm sorry that the representatives from Dorsi decided not to stay at the meeting and hear this. It was emailed to them yesterday and snail mailed to them today. It was addressed to Paul Dorsi. I am writing to express the concerns and requests of a significant number of area residents of Abita Springs. We are disappointed that you chose to not participate in a public meeting where we could ask questions, express our concerns, and work out solutions in person. After listening to many Abita Springs area residents, here's a summary of the issues: location, traffic, and safety, drainage and stormwater, design, construction impacts, and operating impacts. Location. Formula stores are located on the outskirts of Abita Springs, Highway 59 in Harrison and Highway 36 north of town. Visitors and residents alike frequently comment on how quaint and charming Abita Springs is. There is already a Dollar General store located on the outskirts of Abita Springs that residents can easily drive to. It is approximately 1.3 miles from the proposed location. Traffic and safety. Roadway improvements are anticipated at the Highway 59 Harrison intersection. There is no right-of-way available on this stretch of Highway 59 to accommodate turning lanes or additional lanes. What improvements to the road are you prepared to make? There are already frequent accidents on Highway 59 from Harrison Avenue into town. Many of these accidents involve cars or 18-wheelers going into the ditches. According to the St. Tammany Parish Sheriff's Office, they have responded to 5 crashes along this stretch of Highway 59 in the past year. On June 8th of 2020, a driver crossed the center line while texting and hit a car head-on. It took over 2 hours and 10 emergency vehicles to redirect traffic, work the seat, and get injured passengers loaded into ambulances and reopen Highway 59. The St. Tammany Fire Protection District Number 8 data includes crashes and medical emergency calls. From May 1, 2021 through May 11, 2022, they responded to 23 accidents that took place on Highway 59 between Harrison Avenue and the traffic circle. 7 of the accidents were between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 a.m., 8 occurred between the hours of 9 a.m. and 4 p.m., and 8 took place between 4 to 9 p.m. Each accident required either a partial or total closing of Highway 59. Most of the accidents were rear-ended crashes due to sudden traffic stops. Due to the damage the vehicles sustained, tow trucks must remove the vehicles from the highway. There are no shoulders on this portion of Highway 59, so the vehicles remain on the road. These accidents frequently block lanes. Law enforcement and the fire department work diligently to lessen the traffic impacts. Traffic is detoured, if possible, onto side streets, which increases the traffic on residential streets. Oftentimes, the drivers are angry about being delayed and end up speeding through these residential streets. In addition to the traffic accidents, Fire District 8 responded to 115 calls for service in this area during this time period, the majority of which were emergencies. Response time for these emergency medical calls are frequently extended due to the current traffic situation on this portion of Highway 59. Are you willing to limit store deliveries to midday hours, i.e. not during school traffic hours and morning and evening commuting traffic? Are you willing to provide parking lot stub-outs that will allow any future developments adjacent to this parcel to be accessed from your parking lot without having to go out onto Highway 59? Abita Springs is a very walkable town. Will you construct a 6-foot sidewalk across the front of the property? We realize that it will not connect to the adjoining properties at this time, but the residents of Abita Springs are committed to keeping residential and commercial areas accessible to bikers and walkers, and that any future developments can seamlessly connect to the sidewalks. Drainage and stormwater. Are you proposing a retention or detention pond? Is this a dry pond that will only meter water out during rain, or will this pond have water in it most of the time? How many inches of rain will the pond accommodate? What is your plan when rainfall exceeds the engineered capacity of the pond? Will there be landscaped areas that provide additional water retention? Who will inspect the pond on an ongoing basis? And who is responsible for maintaining the pond so that it works as designed? Does the design provide access to the machinery required to maintain the pond? Will you use a permeable surface for the parking lot, except for the required handicap spaces? There are several materials that are used in parking areas that provide for water to drain through the surface. Abita Springs has used permeable material in most of the public parking areas, and residents support the town's decision to reduce runoff and impermeable surfaces when possible? What other steps will you take to ensure that your development will not worsen flooding in the area, particularly for residents located in Southwind? Design. The approved design is very similar to the Walgreens store located at the intersection of Highway 59 and Harrison. There are existing national retailers located at this major intersection. There are numerous examples of other Dollar General stores built across the country that fit the scale and historic nature of structures in Abita Springs. Are you willing to withdraw this design approval and return to the Historic Commission with a revised design that reflects the turn-of-the-century quaintness of Abita Springs? Will you agree to place the dumpsters in a location that is not visible from the highway? Will you agree to construct a concrete block enclosure for the dumpster? Will you paint or finish the concrete block fence so that it complements the building? Will you agree to plant bamboo or shrubs around the outside of the enclosure? What will you do to reduce noise pollution from this site? A 50-foot buffer is less than the drip line of one mature tree. Will you plant bamboo and other shrubbery to help absorb sound? Construction impacts. What will you do to ensure that your project will not have a negative impact on stormwater during construction? Describe what measures you will take to ensure that dirt and clay remain on your site during construction and do not end up on the highway, ditches, or nearby properties, using such things as silt fencing, boards, gravel at construction entrance, straw bales, grass at the edges, etc. Will you agree to maintain these protective measures throughout construction? Will you place orange fencing around the drip edge of all trees that the Abita Springs arborist determines must be protected? Will the contractor be required to repair the fencing and keep it in place during the entire construction period? Will there be a dumpster on site during construction? Will there be a requirement that the site be kept clean every day, i.e. construction debris and litter put in the dumpster? Will contractors burn any of the green debris on site, or will it be trucked to another location? Will you limit truck traffic on the site during high volume traffic times, such as school start and end times and morning and evening commuting times? How many truck trips do you estimate will take place during the land clearing and construction phases of this project? Will construction take place only during the week from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m., or will work be done on site during the weekends? If so, what are the hours when work will be done on the site? Operating impacts. Based on our experience with the existing Dollar General on Highway 36, we know that litter will not stay on the property, but will extend outwards for several blocks. Will you commit that the Dollar General store management will pick up litter in the parking lot and land daily? Will you commit that the management of the Dollar General will agree to quarterly neighborhood litter cleanups? Will there be 2 commercial trash receptacles on site for consumers to use? Will there be cigarette butt receptacles on the site? What is the time frame for building repairs to be completed? What is the maintenance cleaning schedule for the exterior and interior spaces? The experience we have with the existing Dollar General is not positive. They frequently only have one entrance door that is functioning for months at a time. Their sign is dirty, the floors and windows are not clean, the merchandise is stacked in the aisles, there's frequently only one employee in the store who is expected to stock shelves and check out customers. The lack of maintenance and upkeep is an eyesore and negatively impacts property values and the impression visitors have of the area. What are the hours of operation for the store? How many deliveries and in what type of vehicles will occur weekly? How do holidays and other special events impact this number? Can deliveries be limited to the hours between 9 a.m. and 2 p.m. to avoid high traffic times? Will you commit that the dumpster at this property will not be emptied except during regular business hours and not before 8 a.m. or after 5 p.m.? Will items be rolled out onto the sidewalk and parking lot daily? If so, we are asking that these items be limited to a single rollout no larger than 3 feet by 6 feet. The only exception is the last Saturday in March, during the whole town garage sale. Will there be outdoor storage at the site? Will it be stored in the open, or will there be a storage shed on site? What items will be stored outside? It is our understanding that no parking lot lights have been requested for this site. Is it your position that employees will be able to use the dumpster at night without any additional lighting? Is this safe for your employees, and does it comply with OSHA safety guidelines? Local stores embrace and support the town of Abita and the schools, nonprofits, and civic organizations. What will Dollar General do to demonstrate their desire to be a part of our community? As you can see, we have a lot of concerns about your proposed development. We look forward to hearing back from you regarding these issues, and then my contact information. And I've asked that this was sent to the town of Abita, and then I've asked that the Aldermen, the Planning Commission, and the Historic Commission members receive copies of the letter. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Sandra.
Adrienne Petrosini. I'd kind of like to follow up on Sandra's letter. It seems like a lot of this meeting tonight is about communication and ways to better communication. So I would like to ask, and I think we've been asking for a couple of months now, that the town request a town meeting about Dollar General and invite Dorsi developers to address concerns and have that conversation. I'd also like to ask that we have a town hall following up on what Mr. Dino said last week, to update everybody about the Abita Meadows and maybe provide some history as well as what the current status of everything is as far as you legally can do. And then I'd also like to ask for another meeting, kind of a general meeting, in keeping with the whole idea of a master plan. We heard about how the aldermen are working hard over the past couple of weeks about updating ordinances. It would be great if you got input before those ordinances were presented, that rather than present ordinances to be rubber stamped that were created by a few people, have the input of the town so you can truly have a shared vision. Dan, I really like that you're sitting up there, because it was really weird when you'd hear a voice from the side speaking out, so this makes communication better. Another thing, we talked a lot about, or you all talked a lot about keeping the town of Abita. You know, Abita, you did away with the town marshal reports. Many of us loved those town marshal reports at the beginning of the meeting. We wanted to hear what happened to the parachutist who got lost in the woods. We wanted to hear about the naked man at the trailhead. So I would ask, in the interest of maintaining, and I don't like the idea of the brand of Abita, I like the vibe of Abita, that you, spend the 5 minutes, maybe Stuart would give up his 5 minutes at a meeting to let the town marshal to do his report again. So,
one of 7 5-minute sessions that he had.
well, so there's plenty of time for the town marshal report. So I would ask you that you put that back in. I'd also ask that you all watch the previous historic, and I already asked Dan to do this, the historic meeting and the planning and zoning meeting. You ask us all to come out to the meetings, and I know we can be pains in the ass, that we're not gonna say things you wanna hear all the time, but if you're talking about the vibe of Abita, the way some residents were treated and spoken to in those meetings was condescending and was less than respectful. So I think it needs to be addressed in some kind of way, and that's it. Thank you.
I have one question for you. You mentioned ordinances, and those will be introduced and once they're introduced, if they move forward favorably, then it will have public discussion the following meeting.
Well, if you're looking at a master plan model, usually what you do is you have town hall meetings where people,
I know, I'm speaking specifically
Yeah.
of the ordinance itself.
yeah.
There'll always
I'm not
be-
talking
there'll
about
always be-
that point, I'm talking about prior, where you just get general input about what are the concerns of the community. So it is a plan, it is a community
community
vision
plan.
rather
You
than an
got two separate
imposed.
issues there. You gotta have the whole
Yeah.
planning process, but an ordinance itself, you said two
Yeah,
people,
right.
you mentioned two people getting together this ordinance. That's not gonna happen. We're gonna introduce that ordinance here, like we did tonight on all the things we introduced, and then the following meeting, that will be time for public comment.
Okay, and I also want to ask you all, because there was some conversation about some friction in the town about, you know, Facebook and all that kind of stuff. It would be really helpful if everybody answered their emails, because I think that creates frustrations when emails are not answered. And you can't really expect Janet to answer everybody's email. That woman works hard enough. So if everybody would take their own responsibility, either as elected officials or as town representatives, to answer the emails that are sent to them, it would really help in communication. Thank you.
I do better calling.
Yeah, well, you know, I took a hit coming to see you, Dan, so.
And Janet and Dan have my authority to give my cell phone out to everyone that calls here for it.
Anybody else?
Monica Gomez. I understand taking phone calls is, a good way to communicate, but it's also, to me, I like to have things in writing. Just for the record, because when you say things, and somebody told you something and you can't go back and say, well, they told me this, so it just seems like there's a lack of transparency in that form of communication. So yeah, I would like responses to my emails as well. Thank you.
I listen, I try to do the best I can. I Columbus method when I type. You know what that is, Columbus method? I discover and land. So, I mean, it's like, it takes me forever.
Oh, there's a dictation on Word.
Oh, that would be
I got, yeah.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
pull up
really
my
good,
iPhone 5 right here and see if I can get that on there.
This is serious, Mayor.
No, I know.
It is serious.
It is, and listen, I don't, where's Adrian? Where'd she go? Have I ever not communicated with you? Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah.
And you have been available.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm saying, as mine is saying.
I do understand, I know, and look, and especially these guys up here, they have another job, and I know, and they're all going in 90 different directions, I get that. We do try to, and Janet is kind of like the person that goes out and she'll answer, because she doesn't Columbus method, she's fast as all get out, so she, but I'm, all right, don't get the head, she don't,
help you.
don't need to build up Janet too much more,
But it is serious, and as I said, we have to follow what the emails say.
Sure.
And then we have a voice, and then you give us that voice. So thank you, and I do appreciate all that Kristen and Janet do, and all of our officials, plus the volunteers, and the citizens.
Sure.
And we just have to appreciate that we're all here for one goal.
That's what makes this town what it is. That's right. That's it. Anybody else? Wait, Marie, there you
I just want to ask one question. Go ahead. I'll ask mine and close it. Go ahead, go.
Marie DeSomes, I just would like to follow up on this concept of community involvement. One of the comments that came up when I was asking about the Dollar General, about like why couldn't it be stopped, was that there was already an ordinance in place and it was inadequate, and everybody agreed that that was the case. So the next step would be to make a better, more explicit ordinance that says what we can and can't allow in commercial districting.
That's what we're working on. And yeah, that's what the moratorium is putting in place for, so that we can correct these ordinances.
So
that's
We're
what we're doing.
already correcting the ordinance.
Yeah.
We already have people looking at them, trying to find problem areas.
Right.
So we already have
But,
that.
but what the moratorium is doing is stopping any new businesses so that we can fix it before it happens again.
I understand.
Yeah.
Plug the dike.
Right.
So what I wanted to ask was, what is the piece of that that brings in the community input? Like, how do y'all plan to go about getting community input? I also have some knowledge of how master planning works, and usually there is input beforehand. And that was one of the reasons that at this slate of aldermen was elected, was with this idea of the master plan. And I think a lot of people are here because we have some specific ideas about how to make Abita better. And I guess that's my question. What are the mechanisms in place to ensure that there is community involvement on the front end of decision making for our town?
We will set up a charrette. Go ahead.
I was just going to add that what you're saying is very, very important. I think you should take all your good ideas, all your town's ideas, and you should put them in writing, and then make an effort to get them to the administration. That is the very process that a master plan and a comprehensive plan, which then flows with the ability to kind of avoid these heated debates over what's appropriate and not. And so a zoning map is nothing more than this town's decision to decide where to put things. So it is 100% a public process, whereby which at the end of that process, I know what your town is looking for and I'll help you write it. It's not the reverse. So I've been given the task of helping this move forward, but I need help. So if you ever wanted to be involved in a citizen of this town, now is the time. You want to do your comprehensive plan, and in my opinion, do it right. You do it where you have clarity, where you know where your commercial development's going to be, and you know where your residential is going to be, and you know what that means and what uses are allowed. So those ideas have to come from you all.
Which goes straight to my question. I think that we are on the same page. What would be the mechanism for getting our input? Like, you wouldn't want a bunch of individual.
I think an email. I think an email.
To send you individual. There won't be like workshopping. That's
no. There's
group meetings.
two different parts, right? So, in the present, you can send an email to the mayor or to Janet or whoever you are used to communicating with. That idea will maybe be a catalyst for later tremendous amount of public input. So nothing can happen until you literally notify the town what you're doing, you properly advertise for it under, all relevant open meetings law, you advertise for discussion, you advertise for individual elements of the plan, because you can't do it all at once. It takes many, many, many meetings just to get the plan, and then that later translates into the ability to look at your zoning maps. But at the same time, because you're in such desperate need of it, we're trying to fix the ordinances. The ordinances that are causing the problems are something that we're looking at like right now. And it's not relevant to any development. It's relevant to the laws that form the backbone for you properly deciding on what to allow and not to allow.
So if I would like to participate in that discussion, if there needs to be a specific interest that I have, and I say, hey, this is an ordinance I care about, and maybe that will be followed up on and brought into the mix. What I thought, as far as what I know about master planning, another process is that there's a kind of open beginning where you say, this is the bullet points, this is the area we'll work in first. Is there anybody who would like to be on a committee on that? Do we have any ideas? And then you follow through and you build the plan that way. But it just feels like if everybody, willy-nilly puts in an idea here or there, maybe they'll get taken into account. But that wouldn't be like a consensus building process.
Well, but it would be a consensus building process. It would be a consensus building process of ideas. So if you and 500 other people have the same idea, guys, we need to look at that. If you and 500
But then
other
I
people
have to
are
go
opposed to an
find
idea,
500 people. What would
Well,
be
no,
easier would be if we had an open meeting that said, okay, we're going to have a meeting about this, and then you have somebody facilitate the meeting, and one person raises their hand and says, this is important to me, and another one says, I don't think that's a big deal.
that's going to
Yeah, you have the section of
That's the mechanism.
These areas of law are easy to find, frankly. They're in Title 33. So when you're dealing with the comprehensive plan, I believe the site is 33:4781 and following. You already reference it at least a little bit in your land use regulations, but you have not adopted all the breadth of it all. It'll give you the parameters under what things you can and can't regulate. So for example, you can regulate height, and you can regulate size, you can regulate aesthetic. Aesthetic is regulated by a historic district commission. There are Louisiana State Supreme Court cases addressing the aesthetic ability to regulate. There are innumerable ways to regulate property. The truth of the matter is that when you go to fill out your building permit, they'll tell you every single piece of material, whether it's appropriate or not. So it's an extension of all laws in this state and others to let you properly regulate. What I would leave you with, since this meeting is so utterly informal and there's no parliamentary procedure being used and we're answering each other's questions and we're way out of bounds, and it's part of fun, frankly, because I normally have to run these things with a great deal of decorum, if you will, and a lot of specificity, is this idea. You can't always just do something because you have an emotional desire to stop something. It's not an emotional process. It's a legal process by which you're looking at laws and how they impact a person's ability to properly develop or not develop land. So it can become very difficult to regulate. I just hate it. You see what I'm trying to tell you? This is the same type of law that is the backbone of a great deal of constitutional law when you start looking at classes of people. I don't like so-and-so is irrelevant to me legally. We are all equal under the law, right? So all property owners are equal in my mind, whether you want to put in a Dollar General or whether you want to put in a pet shop. I'm strictly looking at the legality of whether the use is permitted. And if so, how do you build it? Or how do you not build it? How does it impact your neighbor is a very relevant issue. But how it sits with you emotionally, it's not. So McDonald's and Starbucks and Del Porto and Trader Joe's and Dollar General and everything that you can imagine in the entire commercial realm of enterprises are all industries. So what you can eventually do, if you do it correctly, is regulate the size of them. That's kind of what you boil down to a great deal of state law and statutory law, and I'm way out of bounds, but I see you're interested, so I'm just giving you like some backdrop before you end up with discussions that are not kind, and you start fighting with each other, and you don't even know what you're fighting about, because it'll all be emotional. You see, you don't want to do that. You want to let people argue a point accurately. You know what I'm saying? Like, let someone say one position, someone say another, agree to disagree, but don't become disagreeable. That's the process.
So I understand what you're saying about we have to operate within the laws once decisions are made or whatever. Like Dollar General, this was already a law. But laws are not, like they're not written in stone. We are the voting body, and we vote the people, the legislative body in who creates ordinances. Is that not how it works? So if we're emotional about something, we can change laws going forward, not going backwards. But we do have the power to influence things that happen in our future.
Yes.
And again, you're right. You know,
that's what we're trying
go
to
backwards,
do.
right? So if the law's in effect and they are under the current law, then they can move forward. We can't stop it.
Just want,
Which is what we're doing.
just want to make a quick comment for those people who weren't here. I don't remember if it was the public committee or the planning and zoning, but one sentence really clarified something. As everybody saw on Facebook, I'm sure, the comment, it's a done deal, was going around. And I think that's what people got that impression. I certainly did. But it was stated that Dollar General hasn't filed for a building permit yet. So it's in no way a done deal. I guess they went to, and you can clarify this if you can't, historic first to get an idea of what possibilities were. And historic does not have the authority over issuing a permit or the final decision. Is that correct? So, and I guess that's what this appeal is about, for historic to look at it. Would you just explain that? Dollar General has not, the negotiations haven't really started with them officially. Is that correct?
That's yours.
Historic district commissions issue certificates of appropriateness. They all do. They're looking at the aesthetics, frankly, of the building and how it interplays with your town. And the more you represent historic districts, the more you'll get confused, because the truth of the matter is the aesthetic of one person may not be that of another. I let the entire process run every single time. I know nothing really about architecture. So what you're going to face in this area is a great deal of discretion with a body who's tasked with looking at how it impacts the historic. Are we going to let this move forward? What is the streetscape? What is the architecture? How does it blend with our community? Or is it so utterly different in kind, but it's okay too? Because don't forget, like in historic districts all over the country, they'll have a very, very historic area. And then they'll build a brand new, modern, unbelievably gorgeous art center. But it'll be a modern art building, so the building is modern art. So there's a lot of flexibility, okay? So that's what the Historic District Commission does. The planning department generally in every probably town in America, they're looking at applications. They're checking the boxes. Have they submitted all the requirements for determining whether this building is going to be safe? Is the building going to properly drain? Is it going to impact neighbors? What size does a buffer need to be? What are the setbacks? What are the underlying building codes require for purposes of the construction? Will the building have fire protection? On and on and on and on. Check the box, check the box, check the box, check. If it's a permitted use, sometimes that process ends right there. Not all planning commissions see every development. Every time someone builds a home, it doesn't go to the planning commission because it's a permitted use in, say, a residential district. They build a nice house, they have a good contractor, they check all the boxes, it's not too big, it doesn't impact neighbor, done. They get a building permit, right? If, for example, though, a particular project needs a variance, in my experience, they always go to the planning commission, and then they look at whether the variance should or shouldn't be granted, is it discretionary, what's the deal, all that kind of stuff. And then it never even ends there. Sometimes after that, it goes to the Board of Aldermen. And then sometimes somebody gets mad, and then there's a lawsuit. And it goes on and on and on, and eventually something happens. But that's the most general 101, hope I answered the question, version to help you get clarity as to where you are. So Ms. Barrios was accurate in her summary that there is no building permit. That's all I can tell you, that's true. And the Historic District Commission will not be considering a building permit. The administration will, and then after that I'm not sure, because I haven't seen the building permit application yet. They have to submit everything, right? Engineering drawings, elevations. Only thing that's been looked at is really elevations. What does it look like? You know, it's a process. The trees have to be considered. The landscaping plan has to be considered. They're proposing drainage. Is it detention? Is it retention? I'm not sure. Maybe it increases the drainage into the pond, but then it helps the surrounding community. I really don't know. Those are all the variables. And if you as a citizen, if you're interested in this, study the website, download the documents they put up online, you know, get a copy of public records that are public. The application for the building permit is public. By the way, Ms. Barrios is very good at public records requests, so she can help you with that.
Last one, Stuart.
Yeah, since people have been talking about transparency and communication and such like, I was thinking of the previous administration. Mayor Lemons used to have a monthly coffee meeting, just a morning coffee. I don't know whether that deliberately went away or whether it just was allowed to slide, but I think if the mayor had a mayor's coffee morning, that might be good. Of course, I prefer a monthly beer summit, maybe in the afternoon.
I'd probably do better at a beer summit, to be honest with you. But no, I don't have a problem doing that. I usually drink my coffee by 5:30 in the morning, though, and then it's over. I don't drink anymore, so I don't know.
So we're coming to your house at 5:30?
No. You're not welcome at my house at 5:30. So, but no, we can work on that. Anybody else? That's good. That's it. We're gonna entertain a motion to adjourn. I have a first. I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Done.
The usual.